We've got Matthew McLaughlin here in the studio. Hello, Matthew. How you doing?
Good. Taylor, how are you?
I'm fantastic. And Jordan, are you there? We've got Jordan Miller on the phone.
Hey, I'm here, Taylor. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, man, absolutely. Great to talk to you. Two of my favorite people here. Excellent. I really appreciate y'all's time. We'll get right to it. So y'all are here having a discussion as business people, talking about the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. So this is obviously a hotly debated topic, and correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what we're talking about here is we're talking about getting businesses to get behind changing the flag. If y'all give us a little bit about the inception of this, and Jordan, I'm going to ask you first because I believe that's kind of where it started with your family. Give us a little bit about the inception of this idea.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for the opportunity to come on here and talk about it. So my wife, Katie, and I, we're small business owners. We have a couple of retail stores in Ridgeland in the township. One is called Arco Avenue, and we're trying to sell women's shoes. And the other is called Row 10, and we're trying to sell baby clothes. And so like thousands of other Mississippians, every day we wake up, we love Mississippi, and we grind just trying to make it. And Katie and I also have a heart for seeing progress made, healing wounds and some divisions within society. And so we've been talking and just trying to figure out how to make progress on that. We've been talking to a lot of people, just getting input from others and just trying to broaden our own view of the challenges that face society. And the more we talked about it, we realized that there's a lot of commonality between the challenges to societal progress and also the challenges to economic progress. So a lot of the same things slow down societal progress that slow down economic progress. So we started looking at that and talking about it. And as the conversation on flag change has kind of heated up within our state over the past few weeks, we saw a lot of individual business people and individual businesses and some business organizations coming out and making statements in support of flag change, but we didn't see something that could have the potential to unify the voice of the entire business community under one clear, simple message, which is retire the current flag. That's it. That's what this coalition is about. We're not wading into the debate on what happens after the current flag is retired. We're not wading into the debate on the process and potential alternatives. We view, and our coalition views, the right first step for the state of Mississippi to move forward as a society and move forward economically is for the legislature to take a courageous step and through swift legislative action, retire the current state flag. And so with that, we launched a website. The website is msbusinessforflagchange.com. And on there, we've got a list of all the business people in our state who have signed their name to our letter. And so our goal, our immediate goal right now is to, in the very near future, deliver a letter from our coalition to every state-level elected official and just lay out the business case for flag change in Mississippi.
Okay, so you're hearing the voice of Jordan Miller, who is on for Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition, owner of two businesses in Mississippi. And Jordan, another question I would have for you is, you're making it clear that you're not picking a specific successor for the flag, correct?
Absolutely not. So anybody who's ever been in a business meeting where there's a lot of people around the table trying to solve a challenging issue, the conversation can kind of move down the road beyond the first step, and a lot of energy can get expended on trying to figure out things 4 and 5 and 6 steps down the road when all the people at the table hadn't even agreed on what's the first step and who needs to take it. So what our coalition is trying to do is focus the energy of the business community and encourage the legislature to take the right first step, which is simply retire the current flag. And we're not We're not wading into the debate on the process after that or potential alternatives. The message is clear and simple. Retire the current flag.
So basically, get her done. And we've got Matthew McLaughlin. Yes, get her done. Jordan Miller there, talking about the baseline for the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. Matthew McLaughlin, we've got him here in the studio. Matthew is an attorney. He deals in some political areas. He is also a serial entrepreneur, if that's correct, right? You involved with several businesses, right?
I'll take that, yeah.
Okay. And Matthew is also an advocate for the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. Matthew, why is making this change something you believe that is essential for the growth and the future of the state as it pertains to business?
Yeah, sure. Well, personally, I have felt like we needed a flag change for a while for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I think if you look at it, and to Jordan's point, there was not a group wholly focused on looking at this purely from a business perspective. And I do agree with Jordan, and it's why we joined the coalition, and it's why we're helping with the coalition. But it does. I mean, it impacts business leaders. It impacts businesses in Mississippi. I mean, I have heard countless stories of people that have gone out to other parts of the country that have had to deal with the flag issue. Anecdotal stories about people not wanting to do business in Mississippi because we can't seem to get past some of the history that is less than flattering for our state. So it has a real economic impact.
Well, Matthew McLaughlin, what do you say to some of the people that are listening right now that are saying, why do we have to have all this flag change propaganda? We don't want to change the flag. It doesn't make any sense. Leave it alone. What would you say to somebody who said that?
My response is a flag is a symbol. Symbols are very, very important things in our culture, and our current flag is not a symbol of inclusiveness in Mississippi right now. I believe that. I think there are business leaders throughout the state that believe that, and so that is really one of the motivating factors behind the coalition.
And Taylor, if I may add a few thoughts to that, what we've done as a coalition, and everyone is welcome to go to our site and read our letter. We believe we have thoughtfully laid out the argument, or at least started to lay out the argument on how and why our state flag is a liability. And every day that goes by, we're continuing to invest in something that is not going to produce a return in the future. And so anybody who says, why change it, keep it the way it is, what's the benefit of changing it, I would challenge that person to go to our site, read our letter, thoughtfully consider it, and also, if they feel so compelled, there's an email address at the bottom if you log into the site, and I see all the emails that are sent to that. And if somebody wants to lay out the case of how the current flag actually helps business in Mississippi, I would encourage them to try to lay that out and send it to me, and we'll read it and consider it. But so far, I have not seen that case made how the flag is anything other than a liability.
I got you.
Community.
Well, after the break, we're going to hear more from Matthew McLaughlin, Jordan Miller, and the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. Stay tuned. I am Taylor Sledge. This is the JT Show. This is Taylor Sledge, guest host. We've got Jordan Miller and Matthew McLaughlin in the studio, and we are talking about the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. But before that, I want to say, from 1 to 2 p.m. today, we got the Gallo Rewind. From 2 to 3, we got Good Things with Rebecca Turner, brought to you by visitmississippi.org. And then 3 to 6 p.m., we got Sports Talk Mississippi. And I got to say that during the break, we got to listen to Gallo talk to a man who says he saw Bigfoot in Forest, Mississippi. So it's very important information. Falls right in line with our alien discussion we were having earlier. Can't reiterate that enough.
I told you there's a couple things that you can say that will get people fired up. Pit bulls is one of them.
Pit bulls. Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot is one of them. And panthers.
Panthers
in Mississippi
might as well be aliens the way people talk about them. I can't tell you how many
people
times.
deny that they're here, and then people see them all the time and take pictures of them.
Look, I love to hunt and fish. My whole life growing up deer hunting. I cannot tell you how many times somebody comes back and look like they see it and goes, I saw a panther. No, you didn't. You saw somebody's escaped Labrador retriever. Don't shoot the panther. You're going to kill their dog.
Hey, I know people that swear that they've Seen them, heard them.
They swear. I look at a guy that hunts near us. He sent me a picture one time of a yearling, a deer, that was jammed in the crook of a tree. He said, "How do you think that got there?" I said, "You put that there and took a picture. I bet you're sweating now." Anyway, I don't know. If you've seen a panther, tell us on the C Spire text line 601-879-4395. Enough with paranormal activity. Let's get back to the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition discussion with Matthew McLaughlin and Jordan Miller. And I've got to ask, I'd love to have Jordan Miller answer this question. We're talking about retiring the flag. We're talking about taking the first step to get that done. And, there's obviously a lot of discussion as to whether or not that needs to happen. Y'all feel that it should. But I want to know, can you do that without having a clear plan for what's next? Can you do that without having a new flag designed and ready to roll? Because y'all are calling for it to be retired. But we can't, I might be wrong here, but I don't think we can go without some kind of state symbol. We can't have a intermediate flag, that's like a go-between. We got to have one. So do you feel like that needs to be part of the discussion?
Taylor, the short answer is no. The coalition views retirement of the current flag as a clear first step, at which point the state would be flagless. The state is not required constitutionally or by statute to have a flag in place at any given time. And the view of the coalition is that since retiring the flag is the clear first step, if we go through a period of time after that where the state is flagless, during which time a process for selecting an alternative does emerge through some kind of broad, inclusive statewide process, that's okay.
Well, Jordan, I've got to say, I did go to Ole Miss, went to the University of Mississippi, and I have gone through the limbo period of being mascotless. And I'll tell you straight up, that sucks. Being mascotless is tough. So I don't know. I've never heard the term flagless. That's a new one. But I see what you're saying there. Matthew McLaughlin, would you like to add something there?
Yeah, I don't know that I can add anything else. I think, this is unifying ground, retiring the flag. There's people, that are a little bit more conservative that I think are ready to see the flag retired. There are people that are a little bit more liberal. And then the question naturally becomes, is it the Stennis flag? Is it another flag that somebody else has designed? And I don't know that we're going to necessarily get consensus, a widespread consensus on all of those particular issues. But I think the common ground to really advance this moving forward is to simply retire the flag.
So my question would be, what do you believe would be immediate changes that would really happen by changing flag? Because another issue we've got here is that obviously there are good reasons for people saying we want to change the flag, but at the same time, you start putting human emotion into it, you feel like, oh my gosh, our problems are all going to be solved, and we know that that's not realistic. So yeah, Jordan Miller, if you want to go ahead and answer, what are the short-term things that you would see that would actually happen with the retirement of the flag? You feel like we would go ahead and see pretty quickly.
Yeah, so we hit on this in the letter that everyone's welcome to go to the site and read. The coalition is not stating that retirement of the flag is going to solve societal or economic problems overnight, but we view it as a loud signal that change is coming. The state of Mississippi, we believe, has what I would call a branding issue. Mississippi has so many positives. There are so many assets in our state, the geographic location, the wonderful people, the low cost of doing business. Mississippi is a great place to live and work, but a lot of people just don't see past the flag. Our brand as a state is associated with the flag. Any company that had a logo or an image on top of their building or on the packaging for their product that instantly put a third or more of their potential customers and employees on the back foot would deal with that, and they would tackle that branding issue head on. And even if it may create a somewhat painful limbo, tackling this branding issue head on by retiring the current flag, we believe, is absolutely the right first step. And then that changes the entire tone of the conversation. At that point, we feel like our state will be viewed differently by a lot of people within our own state, but also people regionally, nationally, and globally who will see that Mississippi has taken a tangible step towards reconciling some of the issues within society, yet also taking a tangible step to announce that we are a good place to do business, and we don't want to be hung up by the branding issues associated with what is right now the current flag.
Well, I think that's a very businessy response, honestly. I mean, you're talking about branding and marketing. You're talking about how people connect with an entity and decisions they're making. I will say, when you mention all the great things about Mississippi, you left out fried chicken, which offends me. And
we do
I
have
left
good
out
chicken.
a lot of stuff, Taylor.
But maybe not in the context of the flag, but maybe we don't want more people to come here and eat our good food. We want more for ourselves. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So in regards to this, Matthew McLaughlin here, tell us what kind of response have you had, and give us a timeline on. Tell us about the day the site went up. And then what number of businesses you've already got on board?
Yeah, I would say the response has been fairly overwhelming. I think the site went live, and Jordan can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Tuesday.
It went live right around midnight, Monday night, Tuesday morning.
Wow.
Yeah. And it sort of went viral. I mean, I linked it, and then on my Facebook page and my LinkedIn account, and then all sorts of other people started sharing it. And I think we've got probably 50 or 60 folks whose names are on the website now that have gone on and joined and signed the letter. And then there's a number of folks that have reached out through email or otherwise that said, we haven't taken a public policy position on this particular issue yet, but we're going to, and we will be reaching back out to you in the coming days or the coming weeks.
So you've got 60 companies or business leaders, people that are self-driven, making decisions on behalf of a business that they're involved with, that have already put their name on this
Correct.
thing, where you can visibly see it. What's that URL?
Jordan, do you have the URL?
Yeah, the website is msbusinessforflagchange.com, and on there's an About section that lists the coalition members, and this is a list of people who love Mississippi and are invested here and have skin in the game on the future economic success of our state. And I would encourage anyone who's curious or interested or doesn't agree to go to the site and just read some of these names and see some of the people who have signed up in support of what the coalition is trying to do. And also ask questions, get in touch with them. If you see somebody who signed the letter that you do business with or you know personally and have a relationship with, just call them and say, hey, man, I saw you sign this letter. Tell me a little bit more about why you did that and why you think that's important. We want to advance the conversation thoughtfully and from a business perspective.
Well, the other question that I would have for you is a discussion about two different things. Number one, a ballot vote versus a legislative change. And, you've surely got some thoughts on what do you believe is going to be the most efficient way to change it. But then
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. The other thing is the question is, how has it actually, the current flag, prevented people from doing business in Mississippi? And do we have any evidence that it's really been that big of a problem? And we'll talk about that when we return from this break. I'm Taylor Sledge. We've got Matthew McLaughlin and Jordan Miller here on SuperTalk Mississippi talking about the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. We will see you after the break with the answers to these questions. Thanks. So we're having a conversation here that's a pretty hot conversation. We have got all kinds of stuff coming in on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. We're talking with Jordan Miller, the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition, and Matthew McLaughlin, who's right here with us. And we're having all kinds of different discussions about what's happening with the flag. And, one of the questions we've got here, we've got a lot of people saying a lot of things here on the text line. One of the questions we've got here is, what is some evidence, that the current flag, and maybe you can't be directly anecdotal and can't directly say, just from a relational standpoint. But do the best you can. What evidence do you have that the current flag has actually caused a business problem? Matthew, can you give us an answer?
Yeah,
to that?
sure. I mean, one of the tools that we have at our disposal to bring business into Mississippi are economic developers that work for various state and local, municipal governments or quasi kind of state and municipal governments. And I have had conversations with project managers whose job is to go outside of the state of Mississippi, other parts of the country, other parts of the world, to recruit businesses to Mississippi that have said explicitly that the flag has a negative impact on our ability to recruit certain industry and certain businesses to Mississippi.
So you've been talking to somebody before and they've said, we went out and we talked to so-and-so and they were going to bring their whole company here. They were going to bring manufacturing. They were going to bring whatever. They were going to build buildings. And they said, well, we can't do it. It's too unpopular because of your flag. You've actually had those kinds of conversations.
Yes.
And has that only been in light of your discussion with the Flag Coalition, or is that something you've talked about a couple of years?
This was a couple of these conversations were 2 or 3 years ago.
Wow. So the next question I have, and Jordan, I'd love for you to chime in here. We've got Jordan Miller on the phone. And Matthew is an attorney, so he can speak to some of the legalese of this. But ballot vote versus legislative change. The Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition is all about just making the change, getting her done. But another question is also how. So what's really the stance on there? Well, let's let Jordan say a couple words, and then we'll let Matthew follow it up with the attorneyized version.
Yes, that is a good question. The view of the coalition is that the most practical, most expedient, most efficient step towards flag change is for legislative action to retire the current flag. The current flag was adopted by the legislature in 1894. So the view of the coalition is that there's already strong precedent for legislative action when it comes to our state flag. Now, granted, this way, what we're talking about now, the flag would be going the other direction on the flagpole, but we do believe that swift legislative action has strong precedent and is also, for the benefit of our entire state, going to be the most efficient, most practical, quickest, least divisive, least expensive path towards taking the first step.
Matthew, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're so supportive of the coalition. Ballot initiatives are timely, they're costly, they can be confusing. It leaves open opportunities for people to or organizations to try to come up with alternatives to particular ballot initiatives. The cleanest, clearest, quickest, and easiest way to get the change done is through the legislature. I mean, you have got support now, growing support at the legislature. You've got growing support within leadership over at the legislature, and we feel very strongly that that's the quickest path forward.
A lot of people want to talk about, and just getting here to make our last point, a lot of people want to talk about the failure or the way that it went down in 2001. That was 19 years ago. But I think a big issue with that was that our governor at the time really kind of had his version of the flag. We had a Democrat in office, and he basically said, well, if y'all are going to vote on this, it's going to be my flag. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for joining us. We've had Matthew McLaughlin and Jordan Miller here on the phone for the Mississippi Business for Flag Change Coalition. We've had a great show today here on the JT Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. I am Taylor Sledge signing off. Stay tuned for the next hour. You got fantastic stuff coming here on SuperTalk.